If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
No, I haven't been practiced. This is what I live. This is what I breathe. This is what I live in. I'm being honest with you. I'm being honest with you. You allow Black Lives Matter on campus, but you don't allow white power on campus. Why not? It's the same. Both are hate group, and neither are productive. So if you denounce one, denounce the other. Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. That's what it is. I'm being honest with you, bro. I'm being honest with you. Are you kidding? Let me tell you something. You were going to say, listen, chill. But let me be honest with you. I just want to say this, right? I want to tell you something right now. African Americans make up 13% of the population, yet commit over 50% of the violent gun and drug crime in the United States.
And you don't think there's a problem with
No, that's true. It's 55%.
Okay.
Right? So 95% of that is to other blacks. So me as an African American, I have a 2,000 times more likelihood to be shot and killed by another black man leaving this event than I do by a white person, a police officer, and a neo-Nazi.
So you don't think that's a
2,000 times more percent. I mean, we're killing us as African Americans. We're killing each other. That's what the real problem is.
Yo, this is a reverse mirror. She supposed to be talking.
I'm being honest with you. That's what the problem is. That's what the problem is. This is me and my brother right here. We got to stand together, man. Oh, but listen. I'm being honest. If Obama would have stood up and said, look, we're killing each other, we've got a problem within the African American community, he would have been phenomenal. But he's going to make it white people and of course, you walked away. Yeah, that's there you left, man. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. I'm 2,000 times more likely to be shot and killed by another black man leaving this event tonight, than I am any other race, color, creed, or police officer. That's where the pain comes, man. That's sad. I can't even, I can't hang out in black neighborhoods. I can't do that. I can't because it's a risk for me. It's a risk. It's sad. There's a problem within the African American community.
That's right.
And it needs to be addressed. Obama didn't address it because he wanted the black vote, and Al Sharpton didn't address it because he's making millions of dollars off of victimizing African Americans. Trust me.
It amazes me that to convince black people that Donald Trump cares about them, he takes pictures with celebrities. It's amazing to me. If Donald Trump cared about black people, he wouldn't have denigrated the president with those claims of birtherism. He wouldn't have stoked fears and racist fears of saying this man is less than or is not one of us to become president. If Donald Trump cared about the concerns of black people, he wouldn't have in the debates talked about bringing back stop and frisk. If Donald Trump cared about black people, Jeff Sessions would most certainly would not be his pick to head the Justice Department. Donald Trump takes pictures with black people. Having a comedian and a rapper and a football player out to talk about the concerns of the community. You know why you have a comedian, a rapper, and a football player out to talk about the concerns of the community? Because that's the positions you're used to seeing us in. You would rather see a football player, a rapper, and a comedian. You'd rather have black people be football players, comedians, and rappers than the president. You'd rather see us run the ball than run the country. That's why you do it. I ain't gonna never forget what you said about this man and how you got where you are. Some people might, but I never will. I'll never forget how you denigrated his family. I'll never forget how you stoked fears. Fuck you now and fuck you forever.
But I'm also very aware of the anger that so many people feel. And these voices will continue to be heard as they should. But I have an obligation to take a seat at the table when invited. You know, change can only happen when we sit at the table. If we sit at the table, then we can have a say-so onto what's to be eaten on the menu. If you're not at the table, you can't even refuse the menu or suggest what we should be eating. And so, therefore, it was very important for me to take the meeting.
Okay. All right. Now, Steve, let's get into it. How did this meeting come about in the first place?
Well, several conversations were had prior to the meeting, but I didn't know if it was really real or not until I received an email through my TV show. And it was an email through some people from the Trump side. Mm-hmm. And it gave me an opportunity to meet with President-elect Donald Trump. And President Trump did not request this meeting personally, as I understood it, but it was set up by members of his team. And I didn't even know if it would happen until I got an email from an assistant who gave me a time and a day. And Shirley, I want to be clear here. Mm-hmm. Mr. Trump didn't ask me for any advice or help, and people should know that. I'm assuming that the transition team thought this would be a great meeting between the two of us. And when we met, it was a very cordial meeting. He was very warm, friendly, and honestly, when we talked, he was very sincere.
So listen, let's move on and talk about something else. About Steve Harvey. And I'm going to get Mark, and then I'll get the others in. So, Mark, Steve Harvey went to Trump Tower and is taking a lot of backlash for meeting with the president-elect. What do you make of this controversy?
You know, I love Steve Harvey, and I have respect for Steve Harvey, and I think his intentions were accurate, or appropriate, rather. But my disagreement is the way in which he's being used by folk like Donald Trump. Again, his intention is just to have a seat at the table. But when you're at the table, you should have experts at the table. You should have people who can challenge the president at the table. I don't care if Steve's there, but if I'm Steve Harvey, I'm bringing Michelle Alexander. I'm bringing Cornel West. I'm bringing Amani Perry. I'm bringing Eddie Glaude. I'm bringing Michael Eric Dyson. I'm bringing some folk with me who can challenge the president and inform the conversation. Otherwise, you're just being
Bruce,
trumpeted
why
up
are
there.
you saying, oh my God?
Let me real quick, because they keep bringing up comedians and actors and athletes to represent black interests is demeaning, it's disrespectful, and it's condescending. Bring some people up there with some expertise, Donald Trump. Don't just bring up people to entertain.
So you were at the meeting. You heard and saw everything.
I don't understand how anything I said would prompt that question.
Listen,
unless Steve Harvey turned into a policy analyst in the behind-the-scenes meeting, then it doesn't matter what I was there. I'm saying my concern is the people he's trumpeting up and putting in front of the cameras.
Mark, you weren't even there. You don't even know what happened. Okay.
Okay. Yes, I do. Are you disagreeing that he brought down? Are you disagreeing?
You weren't in the room, sir. You weren't there.
How does that negate my point that he brought Steve Harvey and then put him in front of the cameras?
Let me tell you
That's my critique.
Here's the deal. You don't know what happened. First of all, Pastor Darrell Scott, Michael Cohen, they are in a process of bringing all types of people from all over the country, from all different backgrounds, like we have. Remember the Diversity Coalition, where we reach out to all different types of people?
It was a bunch of mediocre Negroes being dragged in front of TV as a photo op for Donald Trump's exploitative campaign against black people, and you are a prime example of it, sir.
How are you going to... So now you want a name call, Mark.
Simone, you better jump in if you want to talk.
Now you want a name call. Now you want a name call. And then you want to demarginalize...
Let me back Mark up here. Let me back Mark up here.
Simone has not spoken.
Let me back Mark up here, because Mark's making an important point.
Mark is not making an important point. Mark is just talking.
Black people are diverse, okay? And for Donald Trump to only engage actors and comedians and, reality type folks, he is not engaging with the diversity of black people in America. So again, I would like to see Donald Trump bring some policy analysts, some real people who have some meat on the bones for the issues to the table.
Danged if you do,
you
danged
got 10
if you
seconds, Bruce.
So
he ain't to be far less liberal. He ain't done. What do you mean danged if you don't? He ain't done. That is the point.
You can actually bring qualified people.
Bruce is an expert, and he brought Bruce in.
No, it's not.
All right.
Yeah, you can bring in conservative icons. They don't have to be leftist.
What's your expertise,
All right, so that's it. I wish we had like a dong or an X. We surveyed 15 people and whatever. That's it for us tonight. That's a Family Feud joke, by the way.
His celebrity status has clearly shaped his perspective, recently stirring controversy on Fox Sports when he said he personally doesn't see racism because so many of his fans are white.
I thought that was clearly a message that there was no such thing as racism.
There was a lot of backlash from people about that. Would you change it, what you said, or you still feel the same way? What's your thought on Black Lives Matter?
What is it? What do you mean?
The idea is that there's this movement called Black Lives Matter, thinking that the rest of America didn't seem to understand that Black Lives Matter.
It just sounds weird. I didn't know that you put a name on. It's not a name. It's not whatever. It's somebody got shot by police for a reason. I am a young, black, rich. If that don't let you know that America understands Black matter these days, I don't know what it is. Don't come at me with that dumb man. My life matter, especially to my.
Do you separate yourself from it?
I don't feel connected to a damn thing that ain't got nothing to do with me. If you do, you crazy. You connected to this flag right. Because I'm connected. I'm a gangbanger, man. I'm connected.
He ended our interview angrily.
Politician.
Lil Wayne is in the business of making music, not apologies. For Nightline, I'm Lindsay Davis in New York.
Now, the United States of America is a corporation. And our president is the president and CEO of corporate America. I know you might have a little stock in that, not much. But don't you know he has to do their business first? He may not have understood that while he was campaigning. You know, people when they campaign, they can say anything because they're not in the seat of power. But the moment they get in the seat of power, they begin to understand the dynamics that undergird that seat. He was not an economist. President Obama is a constitutional lawyer. That he knew. But when he became president, because he made us all feel we're gonna have a change here. I was not under any illusion and I said it before my brother was elected, and I went out early in the morning and voted for him. But I said on CNN when they asked me, what do you think? I said, he's a brilliant young man with a lot of good ideas, but I'm not under any illusion that he can change the reality of this nation. Now, that's not diminishing him, but don't you know when you become a governor, a senator, somebody in political power, you don't see the power behind the power. I have a watch that's moving. I can see what's going on the outside. But the real power is not on the outside. There's something on the inside that's unseen that makes what you see move. You the same. I'm looking at you. You looking at me. But I'm seeing a physical person, but I don't see the power in you that moves your tongue, that moves your eyes, that moves your brain to think. That is unseen. And the real power is not what you see. The real power is the unseen reality that moves what you see. Can you understand what I'm saying? Now, who are the unseen powers that move presidents? What happens to a president when he says, the first thing I'm going to do when I become president is close down Guantanamo Bay? 2 years, 9 months into the presidency, Guantanamo's still open. What happened? See?
Today is January 4, 2017. Have you guys heard about this? In Chirac, formerly Chicago, a group of black people kidnapped, tied up, and tortured a white man and live streamed the whole thing on social media. Could you imagine if the roles were reversed and it was white people doing this to a black person? It would be the end of the world. Every single white person in America would be forced to turn in their white privilege card so they could be redistributed to those who lack privilege. So these morons got caught because they were stupid and put it on the internet, and now the Chicago PD is unsure if this is a hate crime. Are you kidding me? They actually say in the video, F white people, and they don't know if it's a hate crime. The reason is because you can't commit a hate crime against a white person. It's not possible. Yet we have to hear all day long about equality when we don't even have equal protection under the law. By the way, I am fully against hate crime designations.
There's certain things that I can't say that it's a hate crime because Chicago police won't say it. They're saying they're still investigating.
We cannot callously go about classifying things as a hate crime. Motive here matters.
And you look at the video, you're like, what is going on? What on earth? Why would anybody ever think that it was okay to treat another person like that for any reason?
What is going on here is that you have been fomenting racial division in this country. Barack Obama has been fomenting racial division in this country, and you continue to do it to this day. And even literally today, even after these events. And Lemon said in this segment that all hate crimes are motivated actually by stupidity. Well, weren't you the ones saying that the Trump supporters were the stupid voters? I guess that's not the case. Again, you were wrong. Let's roll to the next one.
You just try to wrap your head around evil. That's what this is. It's evil. It's brutality. It's man's inhumanity to man. And
I don't think it's evil. I don't think it's evil. I think these are young people, and I think they have bad home training.
Hold on. Did I hear that right? Don Lemon doesn't think this is evil? He doesn't think this is evil. He thinks they have bad home training. Yes, I'm sure, who knows? We'll get into the whole parents thing later. But you know what I would attribute this to? Democratic-run inner cities and Democratic-run education programs. That's what I would accredit this to. But Don Lemon doesn't think that it's evil. Wow. Let's roll to the next one.
I just want to remind folks that we cannot sit here and ignore that for at least for the last year, on very public display, the worst parts of America have been brought from the fringe into the mainstream. So that affects people on both sides. We've talked about white nationalists and white supremacists and the KKK, but there are also when this inflammatory rhetoric is out there, when someone is repeatedly telling you that your community is the worst of the worst, it brings out the worst of the worst in people.
So let me just say this. These young people probably never watch the news. Probably have no idea,
I don't think that's
really.
Fair. I really don't think that's fair. Y'all have to give young people in this country more credit than that is.
No idea, really, the political.
And at the end there, she says, this is Simone, she says, everybody knows who Donald Trump is. Again, insinuating that Donald Trump is racist, fomenting the racial division.
I am very hesitant to cast these young people as folks who come from broken homes. For all we know, they have a mother and a father who work very good, hardworking jobs, who have instilled or tried to instill good moral values in them, and the young people just aren't listening. So I think, one, we need more facts, and I think, two, we have to be careful to cast our young people, particularly our young people of color, to the side. But we also have to have an elevated conversation about the surroundings and the things that our young people are dealing with every day and the images that they're seeing. They might not watch the news, but they're on Twitter where the president-elect is. They're on Facebook. They're listening to the Breakfast Club. They're listening to the radio. And all of these nasty, nasty things that we've talked about, that we've witnessed over the last year, they have seeped into our children. They are in our schools.
See, she's just vaguely trying to blame Trump, blame racism, but she has to keep it vague. You know why? Because she has no examples. Zero examples given by this blowhard about racism the entire time. Let's roll to the next one.
If you had white teens who had tortured and brutalized an African-American young man, and those white teens had talked about Obama and had been laughing, I don't think we would be having a conversation about how, oh, our political discourse is so toxic, and, maybe these kids saw things on Twitter about Obama.
Relationship of black people to America is very different than the relationship of white people to America. We're talking about, years, 200 plus years of slavery, 87 plus years of Jim Crow. And I'm not making excuses for these things, but we can't boil it down to, someone saying something disparaging about the first black president of the United States of America when the current president-elect questioned his authenticity as an American.
He's half black and his birth certificate is officially a forgery. Let's roll to the next one.
Donald Trump bears some of the blame for that in a way that another Republican candidate, another Republican president wouldn't have, because of some of the frankly racist things that he's done.
See, and this whole conversation is predicated on Donald Trump being a racist, Donald Trump doing racist things, Donald Trump supporters being white nationalists that have taken over the country, but they don't give one example. And what is the whole panel actually supposed to be covering? A white guy that gets assaulted, kidnapped, and tortured because he's white. Does he even admit he's a Trump supporter? Was he even a Trump supporter? I don't know. Who knows? That's the thing. But they're on here virtue signaling and telling you that Trump is racist. I mean, I seriously, CNN has officially gone lower. I can't believe that this is true, but it is. CNN has now gone lower than Jaco in Atlanta in a fake studio claiming he was getting bombed in Iraq. They are now lower than that, fomenting more racial division in this country after an attack that I think the blame falls squarely on them. They're going to continue to try to foment racial division. So here's the final word from Simone.
It makes me sick. Oprah Winfrey, because I know all about her, is bad news. She's a super manipulator. She is the richest person in entertainment history, which is fine with me. But she's been engaged in class warfare all along. And she funds, through the United Nations, a massive tax-exempt foundation that's tied into Bill and Melinda Gates and population control, one world religion, and convincing Africans to basically roll over and die. She is a New World Order illuminist of the worst, sickening order, and she's been caught in secret meetings with Warren Buffett and Dr. Evil himself, Bill Gates. And, I mentioned this morning to some of the crew that she's now getting a 60 Minutes slot. And I said, she's been in secret world government population control meetings. And they're like, really? And I said, yeah, go look it up. And they pulled up a whole bunch of mainstream news from the last decade. But again, before that was ever even in the news, I was told about Winfrey and her activity. She is uber bad. And if people think that Obama was the black face to sell death to Africa, no, he was just the delivery man. The Black Widow, pun not intended, someone that destroys her own culture, her own people, a woman that is a vicious predator is called a Black Widow. And she is a Black Widow in every shape and form. In the politically correct world, people will be like, don't call someone a Black Widow that happens to have chestnut skin, even though she acts like a Black Widow. And despite the fact that I would call a white woman doing these types of things a Black Widow. Bill Gates is a big fat Black Widow. In fact, that's my most common allegory or analogy or comparison to the globalist is psychic but also cultural spiders. I liken it to whatever the creatures are and under the skin with Scarlett Johansson. They interdimensionally exsanguinate your innards and only leave your skin floating in a vat. Underwater portal to another dimension. Oh, that's in the science stack today. A bunch of top scientists are out saying that we're in an alternate dimension, artificially constructed, that they can pick up the computer code, projecting it. Boy, they really want to tell you that God isn't real, but creation's been manufactured and they know how to give you a real creation, a real reality. You just got to tune out of this one and come into their matrix. So they're now assaulting reality itself and thus God's mind, God's dream. Because all of this is just God's dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Sometimes, I guess, in God's dreams, they're nightmares. But God has a conscious dream that creates free will and new creatures, all in the great continuum of the consciousness of God. Now, when we come back, we're going to start burrowing in piece by piece the news and the clips, now that I have pontificated in a cogitory way.
How did you feel hearing that?
Well, obviously it was very offensive. However, I think it's totally irrelevant. I mean, it was so long ago, and I do believe that most men will talk about women in ways that they would never talk about publicly. And of course, if they would have known that they were being recorded, there's no doubt in my mind the conversation would have been totally different. Nobody is perfect. Here's the issues. Last night in that debate, they defined their issues. They lined the marks in the sand. Number one, Roe v. Wade. Okay, Hillary Clinton doesn't care about murdering babies, dismembering abortions. That's okay with her. Okay?
Wait a second.
Religious freedom.
We're talking, I appreciate you talking about substance, and that is important, Vicki, but we're talking about locker room conversation.
Yes.
My question was about, is it okay that a man who wants to be the president of the free world is bragging and admits to it, and yes, he's apologized to
that's wrong.
assault.
Okay. Yes, but that is wrong, absolutely. But here's the thing, he's not running to be the Pope. Look at the culture of our country. Everybody knew he had strip clubs, but still the millions of people chose him to be the nominee. I mean, this is the kind of person that needs to lead our country. God can use anybody. He used the harlots. And that's the thing. It's all about what God can do. God can do this. God can use this man.
But the things that we
it's all a part of it.
From this adult man who is running to be president of the United States, millions of children heard that, boys and girls. And boys
Yes.
may take their cues from this guy who wants to be our president and behave in accordance with...
Okay, but here's the thing. When Bill Clinton was president, my children came home from school and they had no idea it was actually called the Oval Office. They thought it was called the Oral Office because of the talk in the elementary schools.
Okay,
Bill Clinton educated my children at a much younger age than I wanted to.
But Vicky, Bill Clinton isn't running for president right now.
Exactly.
We're talking about Hillary Clinton.
No, but his wife is. His wife is. And they are a pair. The two are one.
CNN's Chris Cuomo says that if 12-year-old girls feel uncomfortable or scared by seeing a naked person in the women's locker room who has a penis but identifies as a woman, that the 12-year-old girls are the, quote, problem because they're intolerant to transgender people.
I'm really a man.
I'll show you exactly what he said in his over 90-tweet Twitter meltdown, which included a rather lengthy Twitter beef with me. An insane meltdown that is making headlines now, like in the Daily Caller, which says CNN's Chris Cuomo wants tolerance of naked men in women's restrooms. But it's so much worse than that. It all started when Chris Cuomo, who, by the way, is the brother of the current governor of New York, Andrew, responded to this father of four's tweet who says, "What do you tell a 12-year-old girl who doesn't want to see a penis in the locker room?" The CNN host responded, "I wonder if she is the problem, or her overprotective and intolerant dad. Teach tolerance," he said. And this is when I got involved in the conversation, alerting everyone that CNN host Chris Cuomo says that girls are, quote, intolerant for not wanting to see men's penises in girls' locker rooms. I then issued a clarification that he was talking about 12-year-old girls when I said correction. Chris Cuomo said 12-year-old girls are the, quote, problem for not wanting people with penises in girls' locker rooms, you sick man. He then responded, "Find me the cases that show the spike, the real risk." Well, for starters, you could take a look at this list of the top 25 recent instances of pro-transgender bathroom policies being dangerous to women and children. I don't have time to go through all 25 of these recent crimes. He then responds again, "You want attention? I'll give you 10 times what you have." To which I responded, "How are you going to give me 10 times more attention when my tweets have more engagement than yours?" I continued, "You can't have 1 million followers," which he has, and get literally only a half a dozen likes and retweets unless your followers are fake. Let's do some simple math. My first tweet to him calling him out got 2.7 thousand likes and 2,000 retweets. His response to me got 10 retweets and 49 likes. 2,700 likes divided by his 49 is... Mine got 55 times more engagement. 55 times more attention on my tweet than yours, Chris. Let's check the difference between retweet ratios, shall we? Yours got 10 retweets. Mine got 2,000. 2,000 divided by 10 is 200. My tweet got 200 times more attention than yours, you phony. He responds, "Don't use caps and insults, use facts." Well, I just pointed out some facts, so let me point out a few more. I said just read the replies to your original tweet and see how women feel about your insane statement. They're already feeling victimized. We just point out again the fact that there has been compilations of at least the top 25 recent instances of crimes being committed because of this issue. Because by allowing anyone to use any bathroom that they choose because they supposedly identify as that gender, you are saying that this 54-year-old father now identifies as a 6-year-old girl should be allowed to use the women's bathroom. And maybe Chris Cuomo should invite this guy over to play with his kids. I'm sorry, this girl over. This little 6-year-old girl to come over and play with your daughter, Chris. And if society is going to consider this person who has a Y chromosome and a penis, but puts a dress on and puts his hair in pigtails, if we're going to consider this person to be a girl, a woman, and allow it to shower and change in the girls' locker rooms and showers at the gym and at any school and any public facility and private facility, otherwise it's discrimination, then this opens up a bigger can of worms, as I posted, what bathrooms will the other 29 legally recognized genders in New York use? Because in the state of New York, where Chris Cuomo lives, there are 31 different genders that are legally recognized. It's not just male, female, trans female, this and that. 31 different genders. So which bathroom is someone going to use if they just don't identify as any gender, which is a legally recognized gender? It's called a gender. They're not a male, they're not female, they're just neither. Which bathroom are they going to use? By going down the slippery slope that these liberals want to push America down, you're opening the door to anybody just deciding if they just want to start questioning their gender, which is also a gender. Gender questioning. They're not sure. They want to maybe try to be the different gender. They want to explore and see how that feels. You're opening the door to anyone just saying, hey, I'm just gender questioning today. Hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to go and shower in the girls' locker room today at the gym. This is Twilight Zone level insanity. Let me just have this little boy from Arnold Schwarzenegger's 1990 film Kindergarten Cop explain this to you.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
I have had a lot of years in the eye of the public doing what it is I do. And everything that I've ever done has never ever been just for the public. I'm signing on here because people matter. And I'm not running from anything. I love you guys too. Don't you all listen to me. Listen to me. Don't you become frazzled. We're not in a war against flesh and blood. We're not in a war with that. Hi to everyone. We're not in a war against flesh and blood. I came on because I care about God's creation. And every person from the LGBT and anything else, any other kind of thing that is supporting gay, I never said LGBT last night. I said S-I-N. And whatever falls under sin was preached. Now what was posted was not all I preached too, but only that. Isn't that something? That is designed of the enemy to make it look like I have a personal agenda against people. It's a heartbreak, but it's the world we live in. We fight for so much, but for the right thing. To the carnal, all things are carnal. And to the spiritual, all things are spiritual. Don't you understand? I know that people are going to be mad. I have to do what God tells me to do. And I'm passionate about what I do. And when people take it personal, especially if we've never met, you know that the enemy is setting that up. I only signed on for a short while to let y'all know, don't you dare be discouraged. Don't you dare let what these people are saying think that it's rocking my world. I'm not to be shaken. Because I'm out here for God. And I came on here because I love people. To every person that is dealing with the homosexual spirit that has it, I love you because God loves you. But God hates the sin in you and me. Anything that is against the nature of God. I'm called to do what God called me to do. And that's it. And I do it with passion, just as I pray all of you will. Live with passion. Do what you do with passion. I love all of you who support me. All of you who have supported me and decided that you don't want to support me after what you saw and what the enemy is trying to make it look like. Give me a break. There are a lot of people that I'm aware of that struggle or deal or have that spirit. Have I discriminated against them? Have I ever outright told them I don't love you and you going to hell? Who gives me the right to say that I'm telling someone that they're going to hell? I don't get that call. There's a responsibility that we have in the church to represent the Almighty God.
If I may follow up on that, just something that Jonathan Karl was asking you about. You said that the leaks are real, but the news is fake. I guess I don't understand. It seems that there's a disconnect there. If the information coming from those leaks is real, then how can the stories be fake?
No, the reporting is fake.
And if I may ask, I just want to ask
Jim, you know what it is? Here's the thing. The public isn't, they read newspapers, they see television, they watch. They don't know if it's true or false because they're not involved. I'm involved. I've been involved with this stuff all my life. But I'm involved. So I know when you're telling the truth or when you're not. I just see many, many untruthful things. And I'll tell you what else I see. I see tone. You know the word tone. The tone is such hatred. I'm really not a bad person, by the way. No, but the tone is such... I do get good ratings, you have to admit that. The tone is such hatred. I watched this morning a couple of the network, and I have to say, Fox and Friends in the morning, they're very honorable people. They're very, not because they're good, because they hit me also when I do something wrong, but they have the most honest morning show. That's all I can say. It's the most honest. But the tone, Jim, if you look, the hatred, sometimes somebody gets, well, you look at your show that goes on at 10 o'clock in the evening. You just take a look at that show. That is a constant hit. The panel is almost always exclusive anti-Trump. The good news is he doesn't have good ratings. But the panel is almost exclusive anti-Trump. And the hatred and venom coming from his mouth. The hatred coming from other people on your network. Now, I will say this. I watch it. I see it. I'm amazed by it. And I just think you'd be a lot better off. I honestly do. The public gets it, Look, when I go to rallies, they turn around, they start screaming at CNN. They want to throw their placards at CNN. I think you would do much better by being different. But you just take a look. Take a look at some of your shows in the morning and the evening. If a guest comes out and says something positive about me, it's brutal. Now, they'll take this news conference. I'm actually having a very good time, okay? But they'll take this news conference. Don't forget, that's the way I won. Remember, I used to give you a news conference every time I made a speech, which was like every day. Okay? No, that's how I won. I won with news conference and probably speeches. I certainly didn't win by people listening to you people, that's for sure. But I'm having a good time. Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people. But I'm not ranting and raving. I love this. I'm having a good time doing it. But tomorrow the headlines are going to be Donald Trump rants and raves. I'm not ranting and raving. Go ahead.
Just one more follow-up.
Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. Sit down.
Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
Go ahead.
Real news, Mr. President. Real news.
And you're not related to our new...
I am not related, sir, no. I do like the sound of Secretary Acosta, I must say.
I looked at that name. I said, wait a minute. Is there any relation there? Alex Acosta.
I'm sure you checked that out, sir.
No, I checked it. They said, no, sir. I said, do me a favor. Go back and check the family tree. Okay.
But aren't you concerned, sir, that you are undermining the people's faith in the First Amendment, freedom of the press in this country, when you call stories you don't like fake news? Why not just say it's a story I don't like?
I do that.
Call it fake news. You're undermining confidence in our news media.
Here's the thing.
Isn't that important?
I understand what and you're right about that, except this. See, I know when I should get good and when I should get bad. And sometimes I'll say, wow, that's going to be a great story. And I'll get killed. I know what's good and bad. I'd be a pretty good reporter, not as good as you. But I know what's good. I know what's bad. And when they change it and make it really bad, something that should be positive, sometimes something that should be very positive, they'll make okay. They'll even make it negative. So I understand it. So, because I'm there, I know what was said, I know who's saying it, I'm there. So it's very important to me. Look, I want to see an honest press. When I started off today by saying that it's so important to the public to get an honest press. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. Now, maybe I had something to do with that. I don't know. But they don't believe you. If you were straight and really told it like it is, as Howard Cosell used to say, right? Of course, he had some questions also. But if you were straight, I would be your biggest booster. I would be your biggest fan in the world, including bad stories about me. But if you go, as an example, your CNN, I mean, it's story after story after story is bad. I won. And the other thing, chaos. There's zero chaos. We are running, this is a fine-tuned machine. And Reince happens to be doing a good job, but half of his job is putting out lies by the press. You know, I said to him yesterday, this whole Russia scam that you guys are building so that you don't talk about the real subject, which is illegal leaks. But I watched him yesterday working so hard to try and get that story proper. And I'm saying, here's my chief of staff, a really good guy, did a phenomenal job at RNC. I mean, he won the election, right? Won the presidency. We got some senators. We got some all over the country. You take a look. He's done a great job. And I said to myself, and I said to somebody that was in there, I said, you take a look at Reince. He's working so hard just putting out fires that are fake fires. I mean, they're fake. They're not true. And isn't that a shame? Because he'd rather be working on health care. He'd rather be working on tax reform, Jim. I mean that. I would be your biggest fan in the world if you treated me right. Now, I sort of understand there's a certain bias, maybe by Jeff or somebody, for whatever reason. And I understand that. But you've got to be at least a little bit fair. And that's why the public sees it. They see it. They see it's not fair. You take a look at some of your shows, and you see the bias and the hatred. And the public is smart. They understand it. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.